Hello friends, welcome to Gappa Goshti program of ePrasaran. Today we have pleasure in speaking with Sayali Kelkar, dynamic life coach, counselor, trainer, speaker, yoga teacher, based in Thane, India. Sayali's journey is one of profound transformation from a corporate of IT professional to a guide for the personal growth and self-awareness. She has authored a science fiction novel, The Unknown. She is also the creator of impactful workshops such as You Are the Power for inspiring people to realize their true potential. Let us dive into her inspiring story of courage, evolution, and purpose. Today, we are going to explore her journey of her personal transformation. We also would like to know her insights into a philosophy of personal growth, self-awareness, and the power of intuition. Sayali, we welcome you to Gappa Goshti program of ePrasaran.
Thank you so much, Sucheta. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And thank you, ePrasaran, for having me.
You began as a IT professional, and today you're counselor, author, yoga teacher. How did you make these transitions?
Well, it's a very big question. Let me give you a little bit of background. So, like all of us, who live in the middle class family and grow up to, value education, I also looked up to be either engineer or a doctor. So, from my house, my dad is an engineer, my brother is an engineer. So, when I was growing up, my ambitions were that I have to bank on my education and get a job and maybe become engineers like my brother and my father. And to be honest, I really didn't know what I wanted to become. I was literally a blank slate. So I just carried on with whatever the society told me, whatever my parents told me. And so I was good in studies. So I thought, okay, let me just pursue engineering. And IT was booming at that time in India. So I pursued IT engineering. And at the last year of my college, I also got placement into L&T Infotech. And I started my journey as a job in IT professionals. And soon I was sent to UK and US, and I started living abroad, started working in different IT companies. And I think I enjoyed it for a while. I actually enjoyed doing the job. I enjoyed the challenge that it gave me to my mind of doing the coding and testing and all of that. But I think from the start, I always knew that this did not resonate with me. It was good for the sake of survival, to earn money, to have a stable life. But soon I started to realize that actually I wanted to do something to do with people and not computers. I resonated more with human emotions and I wanted to help humans.
Okay.
But I had absolutely no idea how to go about it. All I started to understand is that I didn't want to do an IT job. And I think I did a job for about 10 years in UK. I had a great life. I mean, I had built my whole family life over there. I had a little child and we had group of friends. And despite having all of this, I started feeling void inside me that something was calling me back to India. Like I felt I had to leave all that life, come back to India and start exploring what I truly wanted to do. So you asked me how I came to counselor. I think that was a long journey. There was not a single point where I understood that. I explored many, many professions and this is where I am today. I wouldn't say my journey is ended. I'm still exploring.
It's on.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to hear about how you navigated such a big change.
Yeah.
So you just said that you were leading luxurious life in the UK. You came here to India, if not mistaken, twice, right?
I think about 3 times.
Three times. Okay. So you must have come across many challenges.
Yeah.
Will like to know how you like about those challenges and how did you overcome these challenges?
Yeah. I think that is one of the most important part of my journey is having that challenge of coming back from UK and settling in India. And it's not just leaving a particular country. Basically, you're changing your entire life and you're changing your identity completely. And all the people around me, my friends who are still living in UK, everybody just kept asking me, "Are you crazy? Why are you going back to India? Who does that?" Because in our society, all that we value is we get educated, we want to have a great job, we want to go abroad and have a lavish life,
Right.
and that's like the pinnacle of success.
Correct.
But despite achieving that success, when I started realizing that I truly wanted to do something that resonated with my heart, there were very few people who understood that. And I had to really believe in myself that whatever I am doing is right for me. Maybe it's not right for somebody else, but I feel that I need to explore this path. So the biggest challenge was first that I had to believe in myself that this is the right path for me. And fortunately for me, my husband was also on board with me. So we both decided that we will come back to India. Now, challenge number one, I would say, was leaving all the luxuries
Correct.
and
Absolutely.
the great standard of living. And the moment we landed in India, we had all sorts of problems from crowding and traffic, pollution, and we were okay with all that. But I think one of the major challenges was when I came back, I started living with my in-laws. And it's one of the
Right.
challenges of all of us.
Correct.
We don't talk about it often, but it is challenging because I was used to living in a nuclear family and now I was living with my in-laws.
Yeah.
And it's not just in-laws, it's overall societal expectations in India and the
Yes.
social commitments and all the adjustments that you have to do. So I had to actually learn how to live harmoniously with my in-laws, how to still be myself while I cooperate with others. And I think that was challenge number two. And I think the biggest challenge was that because I left my IT profession, I was still in the exploring phase. I had no idea who I was. And that kind of made me feel like a loss of identity. Everybody kept asking me that, are you going to join a job now? What are you going to do here? You're an IT professional. Are you going to throw all that away? And I felt a burden of that. I felt like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think the biggest challenge is to be okay with not knowing where you're going. Our society expects us to know everything all the time. They expect us to be super confident and always should have answers. And I didn't have the answers. But I was like, okay, this is my journey and I can choose to explore it at this point. I didn't get the chance to explore it when I was young, but now I have the chance. And so the biggest challenge was being okay with being nobody and just explore it.
But it's really commendable. This shows your resilience and determination, Sayali.
Okay.
Sayali, you left this UK.
Yeah.
You left your identity, you just said.
Yeah.
So how did you discover your path on becoming counselor?
Yeah. So that's been a long journey
Mhm.
because I think I came back from UK in 2016 for the first time. As I said, I think I went back and forth three times
Right.
because even though I'm saying, oh, I wanted to change my world, I did face a lot of challenges and I was afraid of them. And I had second doubts about whether I did the right thing or not. So I kept going back and forth. I changed multiple jobs. Eventually, I realized that I must have the courage to follow my heart and I settled back in India. But after that, I was thinking, what is it that I truly want to do? So my interest has always been about finding the truth about universe, truth about us.
Oh.
Why are we here? What are we doing? And I couldn't find any courses related to that.
Okay.
So like, how am I going to do that? So the closest things that I found was to do with spirituality. Initially, I remember as I was young, I used to try and find those answers in science, in physics. It got me a little bit closer, but it didn't give me all the answers. So then I started finding that in spirituality. So I did inner engineering of Sadhguru.
Wow.
I did Brahma Kumari. I did Brahma Vidya. Then energy healing, crystal healing. You name it, I have done all those courses. But soon I came close to yoga, and that really pulled me. I realized yoga had all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the techniques of how to reach the truth, how to get deeper into the truth of existence or truth of us. And so I started getting more into yoga. I did a yoga teacher training and I started enjoying doing yoga asanas. I anyway used to enjoy it before. And I taught yoga for about 2-3 years.
Okay.
I taught personally and in classes.
Where did you take this training from?
I took it from the Yoga Institute in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the well-known institutes.
Yeah.
I think it's more than 100 years old.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful course. It opened me up to a dimension that I did not know existed.
Mhm.
But as I started teaching yoga, I loved it to some extent. But I realized that actually I wanted to get even deeper than the level of body. So, one way of well being and understanding yourself is connecting with the body. But the other way is getting deeper into your mind and even beyond mind. And if yoga has all those answers, why not utilize it?
Correct.
So, I started searching more and I found a diploma course in yoga counseling.
Acha.
Now, this was something very unique because most of the psychology is very contemporary, it's very Western based. And this psychology course, the counseling course, was based on yoga philosophy. So I got gravitated towards that and I did that diploma in yoga counseling. I think that completely transformed me because it connected me to my truth, to my essence. They helped us discover how to do self introspection, how to go beyond your own limitations, and working on myself also helped me help other people.
Correct.
And at the same time, I also did certain other courses like
Mhm.
life coach certifications, training certifications, because I think I'll give you a gist of how I'm coming to where I am is basically try everything that you love, that you resonate with, keep whatever works with you, and you can take out what doesn't. And that's the only way I have found to come closer to my truth.
Yeah. So that must have been challenging,
It was.
yet rewarding, right? See, one of our discussions, you were talking about your early struggles with self-esteem
Yeah.
and language barriers, right? But now you have authored and published science fiction novel The Unknown. So how did you build this confidence and find your voice? We'd like to know about this journey also.
Sure. So you were very right. I had a lot of challenge with language initially. So I studied in a Marathi medium school. And I think all of us who study in vernacular languages, we have to, when we reach college, we have to suddenly shift everything into English. And I think that is challenging for a lot of us. But for me, I had an added challenge to that. And when I was growing up, I have an elder brother, and he used to study in English medium
Okay.
school. So in my mind, I was always comparing my life with him as to look up to him, and I kept feeling that he's better than me because he speaks English. His world was different. He had different kinds of movies and friends that used to speak English slangs that I couldn't understand. And I think that experience made me think that something was missing in me. So it kind of took my self esteem and confidence down. Um, and then when I went to college, suddenly I had to speak English. And I was not at all confident in that. I had a love for language. I think by the time I was in college, I had started writing my deeper thoughts.
Okay.
And at the time, I used to write in Marathi.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that too. But however, at that point, all my friends were not Marathi. They were Gujarati, South Indian, people from,
Cosmopolitan. Yeah.
people from all over India. And I felt I couldn't connect with them if I can't speak English. I remember I used to try and have conversations in college, and I used to constantly translate from Marathi to English in my mind.
Yeah.
And by the time I could speak that sentence, the topic would have changed, and I was like, I can't speak. But then I decided if this is the case, I must conquer this. I must get better in the language that I can connect with people. So I started reading a lot of English novels, started watching English movies and series, and slowly I started writing blogs in English.
Okay.
Even if I felt like I'm not good at this language, let me just try and express myself.
Right.
And people started loving those blogs, and I realized that I'm not too bad. And slowly, as I kept writing, I realized I really loved writing, even imaginary creative writing process. And that's how I came about writing a science fiction novel.
Right. So finding voice in both
Yeah.
life and writing must have been an incredible journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sayali, you have come a long way in building your confidence. Were there specific people or experiences that have helped in your path of discovering your potential as a counselor?
Okay, yeah, sure. I think I'm so glad you asked this question because I think there is one person who has been absolutely influential in my entire journey of self discovery, and she's my spiritual teacher. Her name is Jewel Gage.
Acha.
So she's an American lady, and I met her about 10 years ago, and she's still one of the most influential. I have met her only once physically, but we are in touch through Skype and emails. So I think our meeting was destined because I had nothing of that sort in my mind. I was searching for the meaning of life. But I think in 2015, I used to live in UK. I came to India for my cousin's wedding. And in that wedding, I saw Jewel. And something about her, there was so much love and light radiating out of her. We saw each other and we just hugged each other.
Wow.
I have no idea why we did that because she was a stranger to me. But there was something about her, and we just connected in that moment. And I don't remember anything about that wedding. Throughout that wedding, I was just sitting close to her and asking all the questions that I ever wanted to ask about life. Like, why are we here? What is the purpose of life? Does God exist? And all of those existential questions. And she opened her heart to me and she started pouring out wisdom. And that's when I realized that there is a possibility that you can evolve in consciousness. You can live in a higher consciousness because that person was right in front of me. So it was a living example of how you can actually evolve. And there are answers beyond what we see in colleges or in education. And so whenever I had any challenging situation, whenever I came across any negative feelings, I used to contact Jim and she would guide me back to my truth, remind me of the power within me.
Okay.
She helped me come closer to how to remain honest, how to, always follow what is true in your heart fearlessly. I think that's one of the keys.
Great. Could you share your learnings from Jewel, please?
Sure, sure. I would love to do that. In fact, whatever I do now as counseling or training, everything is based on what I have learned from Jewel and also through my own experiences of life.
Sorry to interrupt, but is Jewel is also counselor or
No, she's a spiritual master.
spiritual master?
yeah.
Okay.
She has written many books
Okay.
and she shares her wisdom. I mean, you can say she is a counselor. She does help a lot of people, but she doesn't like to label herself as anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just Jewel. So I think one of the key teachings I have learned from Jewel is that, first of all, everything that happens in our life is our creation. Okay, we think that we are a victim of situations, of people, or something happened with me, my life is always like this. But the truth is that we are creating every single experience in our life. And how we create it? With our thoughts and emotions, how we think about everything. It's not always obvious because it's part of our subconscious, but we are creating every moment of our life. So this was one of the groundbreaking understanding for me. Because if I am creating something negative in my life, why would I choose it? So that was something that shifted me completely. And the second understanding was that I'm not creating all these things because something is wrong with me or I'm stupid. I'm creating this
Yes.
because I want to learn from it and then I want to transcend it. Okay, all of us are doing that.
Absolutely.
So there is a reason why we create certain situations. We have those mind conditionings and beliefs inside our subconscious, so they get projected out. But instead of saying, "Oh my God, how can I create this?" just understand that you are creating it because you have the power to transcend it. And if you have that power, so then the last learning, I think the most important is that you are not this helpless human being who is limited in the way they can live. You are actually a part of this entire universe. You are one with the energy of universe, consciousness, love, God, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you are part of this entire creation. And if you're part of this entire creation, nothing about you is insignificant. So you have to make yourself realize of this truth every moment to shift your perspective from feeling limited to feeling whole.
Right. So we can say that it was like turning point for you.
Yes.
Right? Meeting right mentor at right time.
Sure.
So it's amazing actually how mentor can illuminate a path
Sure.
you must not have seen otherwise.
Definitely.
and they become a guiding light, in the moments of uncertainty.
Yes.
So Jewel met you at the right time, we can say.
Sure, she did. I
Yeah.
think it was destined.
Yeah. Sayali, I have an interesting question for you. What does evolving consciousness mean to you, and why is it important in today's world?
Wow, that is a profound question, I would say. And I'm really glad you asked it because I think it's one of the key things that is going on in current world. So first of all, we are all confused about what consciousness is. I would say that consciousness is everything, including our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences, emotions, all of that together is the consciousness. But it's not just that, it includes even the physical and non physical. So, in my world, consciousness means the energy that encompasses the entire existence. So, when we say evolving consciousness, we are assuming that consciousness is evolving, and I truly believe that. I think we are at a tipping point currently in the world where we all have to evolve in consciousness, and if we don't evolve, there is a chance that we may not survive.
Absolutely.
Because if you see in the world today that there is extreme amount of darkness and negativity, we have all sorts of wars, pandemics going on, natural disaster, financial instability, political upheavals, you name it, we have it.
Correct.
Even at the personal level, we have mental health issues, and everybody's kind of finding the meaning of relationships and marriages. So things are breaking apart, and they are breaking apart for a reason, because it is pushing us to think deeper, to question that why is it the way we live, and why are we creating the kind of things we create? Are they really helpful for us? And can we change it? So if we have to change something, first the old has to break down. And I think that's what's happening. The old systems have to break down, and only then we can start building the new system.
Mm.
So we may think that, oh my God, there is so much darkness in the world. Why is it happening? But start looking at that darkness as an opportunity to evolve. So this is happening because, first of all, we are creating it. As I said, everything is our creation. It's a creation of our collective consciousness. So we have to take responsibility for it. We can't just say other people are doing bad things. It's a creation of entire humanity. Look at it closely, learn from it, and see how we can transform it and transcend it.
Okay.
And I feel we are all going to start working on that. And the change begins from us.
Yes.
Instead of pointing fingers at other
To
people
others.
that, oh, they have to change and the leaders have to change. Yes, everybody has to change. But I believe first that change has to start from within us.
Right.
And that's exactly my
Correct.
effort in counseling.
But by knowing the truth,
Yeah.
how do you make use of this in your counseling?
Yeah. So as I said, like, okay, counseling is basically for emotional problems and troubles. It seems like that at the surface level. And yes, psychology is important. It's important to understand how we think and feel. But because I know this truth that we are these infinite, beautiful, whole beings, and we are not limited to just the human thoughts and emotions, I have that faith in every single counselee that they can transcend it beyond the mind. And so my only job is first to understand their human emotions, of course, but then make them aware of the potential that they hold beyond this human experience. Because what I have discovered in my own journey is that the moment, anytime I created any negative situation in my life, I asked myself that, is this something, if I am part of this entire universe, if I'm part of this one consciousness, is this something real? Why would I create something that makes me feel limited? So we are all creating these thoughts because we are used to creating them, and they're actually illusions. But the moment you become aware of these thoughts, that's it. They stop having effect on you.
Correct.
And that's all I do in my counseling process. I bring the awareness of the counselee back into themselves, make them aware of their thought patterns, and the moment they see what they create,
Correct.
they are free of it.
So you are the creator of your own thoughts,
Sure.
and thus you create the situation for you.
Yeah.
Right.
For you to rise beyond
Yeah,
it.
that's great. You just said that you created an impactful workshop.
Yeah.
You are the core.
Yeah.
Will like to know about that workshop. and key takeaways for the participants to gain from it.
Yeah, so as I was saying, my main intention is to for my counselors or participants in my workshop is to make them aware of their power within themselves. And that is exactly why I named that workshop You Are the Power. Because you truly are. We all have that intrinsic power within us to create our life, to change our life, and to experience everything the way we want to experience. So I think in terms of my workshop, what I like about like the workshop, first of all, is not for huge number of participants. It's 10 to 15 people
Okay,
at
that's
max.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like to keep it small group so that people feel comfortable to share their problems.
Okay, that's right.
You know, the great thing about workshops is that once somebody starts sharing their life story, everybody feels motivated.
Yeah.
They want to share, they want to participate. And when you understand that you're not the only one going through problems,
Yes.
there are people who are experiencing similar emotions, you feel a sense of relief
Correct.
and a sense of community.
Right.
So first I help everybody to vent out and, you know, express their problems and emotions. And then, as I said, making them aware of how they are creating this by themselves. This is a game changer. Instead of constantly saying that, you know, for example, if somebody says their problem is that their husband is not paying attention, uh, then they get stuck into the story of how he's the problem and they are the victim. Now, my job is to make them aware that they are the one creating a thought that they are a victim.
Right.
They are the one creating the emotion that something is less within them because somebody didn't pay attention. So, how we actually give energy to these thoughts and emotions, once we start seeing that, they start freeing from it.
Yeah.
So, I think the key takeaway is the shift in the perspective of realizing that you are the creator of your problems. And then I give some kind of exercises on daily basis or on weekly basis for them to become more and more aware of this realization. I think the key work is increasing our awareness of how we create these thoughts and emotions.
That's really fascinating. Many a times when you speak your problems with someone, you get solace.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sayali, you wear many hats like counselor, author, yoga teacher,
Yeah.
trainer. You know, how do you balance these roles?
So actually, I'm not always playing all the roles all the time. Some of the roles,
Yeah, one role, mother.
I think that's my biggest
Yeah.
role. It takes up most of my energy. But I think some of those roles were transitional because as I was trying to find my path, I was teaching yoga in between. I'm not teaching it at the moment. I do make use of yogasanas and breathing exercises
Okay.
in my counseling, but I'm not actively teaching yoga at this point. But yes, I do still write. I do still do counseling. I also conduct workshops. I'm not thinking of all this as, you know, I have to be successful in all these roles.
Okay,
I
that's
don't.
yeah.
Basically, whatever I'm doing, it is the same expression of me expressing the truth and sharing my wisdom.
Wow.
So if I get to do it through writing, great. If I get to do it through talking, great. One more thing, I also make YouTube videos.
Okay.
Because whenever I feel inspired that I want to share this with everyone,
Okay.
I just record it and put it out there. So I just go by the flow. I don't really care if I have to be successful in this role or that role. Whatever
That's
comes
very
naturally.
important, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you recommend any, practicals or daily practicals or habits to our audience to for maintaining their mental and well-being, emotional well-being?
Sure, I can recommend few. So basically, whenever we are going through any emotional turmoil, any problem, there are two parts to it. One is your emotional part of it, that is, you are feeling so emotionally overwhelmed that you can't really, you know, find that solace or calmness. And the other part is your belief system and your thinking. So, first thing we have to work on our emotions. If you're feeling very, very overwhelmed or angry or sad, you can't really transcend any of those thoughts. So, first you have to calm yourself down. I think one of the techniques, the breathing techniques that I always give to my counselees is deep and equal breathing. So, what it means is that you have to keep your inhalation and exhalation of the same time. So, if you inhale for 3 counts, you exhale for 3 counts.
Okay.
And you do it as deeply as possible. So even if you do 10 to 20 rounds of deep equal breathing, immediately your emotional intensity will come down. You will start feeling more stable, more peaceful, more relaxed. That is when you start introspecting as to what you're thinking.
Okay.
So this is one practice. Even if you're not emotionally charged, I think this is a great practice because it brings you into the present moment. It connects you to your true essence. Because most of the times, I think we are too much lost into thinking and getting busy and all of that. So equal breathing is very good. And I think the second thing I can recommend if you're truly interested in doing introspection is that maintain a diary.
Okay.
And every night before you go to sleep, just look over your day, what all happened in the day. And if anything affected you, if anything created a negative emotion inside you, write it down. And write down what that incident was. Don't get into too much detail of the story. Just the incident where you felt affected. And then find out why is it that you felt that way?
Okay.
What was your thought behind it? This is the start of self introspection. There are many, many steps ahead, but even doing this simple activity can increase your self awareness to the great level.
Okay. So mainly you suggest breathing exercise.
Yes.
Equal breathing exercises
Mhm.
and writing diary every day with positive notes to ponder upon.
Not the positive notes,
Or
the things that actually made you feel negative.
negative. Okay.
And of course, once you start seeing them for what they are, you have to remind yourself that you actually created them.
Okay.
And that's not the truth. But that's the next step. First, you start becoming aware of what you're creating.
Correct. Right. Absolutely right.
Okay, so the only message I would like to give all of you is that never forget that you are the creator of your life. Everything that has been happening in your life is your own creation. Imagine how powerful you are. And if you're this powerful, imagine what you can create in your life. So never feel victim of any situation or anybody else. Remember the power within you and live the life that you want to live with. All the best.
So, friends, that brings us to the end of inspirational conversation with Sayali Kelkar. Her journey reminds us the power within us to embrace change, overcome challenges, and live life with purpose. So, Sayali, thank you very much on behalf of Prasaran. We thank you for coming here and being with us, for sharing your incredible journey and profound insights with us. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you like this interview as insightful and uplifting as we did it. Stay connected for many such inspirational stories. Until then, take care and keep evolving. Bye.